What's up, guys? It's Jawnz. I haven't done a video on the social media ban yet, but I just wanted to sort of give my opinion on it. And I heard this guy, John Ruddock, I've heard him making a lot of statements in the Senate, and he's really advocating for free speech. So already the US government is already looking into this as a violation of free speech and censorship. I want to maybe more focus on how it's going to affect the kids. And when I say how it's going to affect, I don't think it's really going to affect them at all. I think it's going to be as simple as you just change. They've all got new accounts now, and they've just changed their date of birth to something that's older than 16. I don't think it's even going to be necessary for VPNs and proxies. I think that it's just going to be that simple, and the kids have already implemented whatever they're doing. They're already doing it. Like they've probably been doing it for months, if not as soon as it came out. Like that's what I would have done when I was young. MySpace was the thing that we were on, and if all of a sudden we weren't able to access MySpace, we would have found a way around it. And this is 20 years ago. So there's just no way that this is going to work. I think that the people that are pushing this bill, Albanese's party, they're just completely out of touch. I've said this in some Twitter comments before, and I don't want to be told how to use the internet by 50, 60, 70-year-old men and women that don't know how to use a smartphone. It's as simple as that. And that's the first line that they're crossing. The second one is that really it's the parents' job to watch what their children are doing online, to teach them about online safety, to perhaps monitor what websites that they're going on. It's very easy. You just put like a key logging software on the kid's computer, and if they type anything explicit, you have a whole list of things that flag. You get a little notification. You can go and have a look and see if it's like an unhealthy or a healthy kind of search that they're doing. Same with other platforms. Like never, you shouldn't be ever letting your kids on Discord. I know that Discord can be safe, but that's the first place that pedophiles will try and get your young child to go when they meet them on Roblox or Minecraft or wherever it is. That's where they'll try and get them to go, either that or WhatsApp. So I think that if that doesn't happen, if it is a bit harder to access the websites if you are under age, which I don't think it will, but if it is hard and the kids have to go underground, like how is that any better? Like that's what they're going to do. There'll be a new platform that'll pop up and it'll change its name or its ID every month, and the Australian government's no way going to be able to keep up with it, and the kids will just go from platform to platform underground. That's much harder to monitor what they're searching, and it's just going to be way worse, and the chances of them being groomed online is much higher in that kind of scenario, where at least with Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat's probably not that great. There's some safety there. If we force the kids underground, which is I'm taking the more Labour Party sort of position here in my thinking, they're just going to go underground. Like how does that not come up in your meeting? How does that not raise some red flags? It's just crazy to me. So just the fact that no one else in the world has done this, right? We're leading the way on underage social media or whatever. But there's a reason for that. It's because there's no other country in the world that can get the policy right. Because it's such a complex issue. Like how do you do it? You can't have people scanning their faces. There's freedom of speech, there's online anonymity, which I think both need to be preserved. Like if the government wants to go and find who a Twitter account belongs to, they can just do it like that. It costs them money. They have to go and subpoena Twitter or whatever. And, maybe it takes a few days, 48 hours or something, but they get it. It's a process though, that they have to go through. Whereas if we're scanning our face, or once we remove that online anonymity, they don't have to do that. It's just automatic. They've already got the information there. They don't need to go through a process to get the information. So that's the major concern that I have. is that, yeah, they already know what we're doing. They can already check on us, like, no, yes, you're right, but it's much harder for them. This kind of legislation is what makes it a lot easier for them to do so. So that's my major concern. And also, like, the Albanese government they're not doing a good job. They're basically idiots. So I'm not worried about the Albanese government using this technology for ill purposes. What about in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? What if there's a government that gets elected and all of a sudden they have all of this power to peer into our lives and what we're saying and censor us? That's also a concern. It might not, it's probably not the Albanese government because they're just a bunch of idiots, but there could be one later on that might actually use it for harm and for more control over the citizens. And really, like, that's got to be the end goal anyway, right? Like, they don't care if this sticks or not. But what my prediction is that next year or in the next year or two, there'll be a lot more publicized in the media, a lot more suicides, and they'll all connect it to social media, and they'll get the public support, and then they'll crunch down on top of what this ban is. They'll crunch down new things. That's what they always do. And it's just, that's my prediction, is that we're going to see in the media a lot more teen and youth suicides due to social media. And, well, obviously this isn't strict enough. We need facial recognition. We need biometrics. We need this. And unfortunately, all of the leftists in the country are just going to give their rights away. And that's my prediction anyway. But John Ruddock is one of the members that is really pushing. He wants an amendment in the Constitution about free speech, which I completely agree with. Like, the US is already looking over to us. I've already spoken how I think we should be divorced from the UK entirely. I think we should be our own. I don't think we should have any ties to them at all. And I think that, yeah, the Constitution needs to be changed, because something that they'll talk about in here, and something that I learned only just yesterday, is that the Australian Electoral Commission, you can't hold any of these politicians accountable for blatantly lying and defaming each other through an election campaign. It's political communication, which is under the free speech, and basically anything can be said, which I think's absolutely disgusting. Like, the big thing in the media at the moment is Albanese hasn't reduced power bills by $275. And I mean, like, it's just, if you run on a promise like that and you don't fulfill, I think that you should go to jail, or someone should be held seriously accountable, because it's just not good enough. You're just buying votes. You're just telling the people what they want to hear when it's election time, and like Trump's done. But anyway, I think that, yeah, an amendment needs to be made to the Constitution about free speech. I think the way that the Electoral Commission sees free speech in the eyes of political communication needs to be changed. I think it's disgusting that you can just lie, defame, anything, and it's all fair game. This is why we have these stunts in the Senate by Pauline Hanson and the other two Muslim women that are just off, and the Aboriginal woman that's just off her chops. This is why it's all so juvenile. It's all high school kind of material, and it just needs to stop. It needs to stop because it's allowed by the Electoral Commission. This is encouraged. So, like, once I've understood that law, now it explains why we get all this juvenile behavior all the time, because it's literally allowed. So anyway, let's have a listen to this.
After 10, I've got the leader of the New South Wales Libertarian Party, the member in the upper house of the New South Wales Parliament for the Libertarian Party, John Ruddock, with me right now. John, welcome to the Super Radio Network.
Good morning, Chris. Good to speak again.
Well, you're leading a High Court challenge against the government's under-16 social media ban. How did this come about and who's involved?
Okay, well, look, we were expecting that Google or Elon Musk, these big tech platforms, that they would be taking this High Court challenge. They're the ones that
they don't give a fuck. They don't care. It's a joke. Like, what? The kids are just going to put the age at a different Like, they're just going to change their date of birth. Like, what are we talking about? Like, it's just so easy for them to navigate this. It's just ridiculous. So there's no chance that these people are even spending losing a wink of sleep over it. You know what I mean? Like, and the fines, like, it's just not going to happen. And what, you're going to ban Facebook because they don't pay the fine? Like, that's just never going to happen. Like, that's where you advertise to your boomers. Like, it's just oh man, like, it's just crazy.
Facing $50 million fines.
Good point. Where are they?
Well, they were saying they were going to do it, but I mean, me and my mate sat around 2 months ago and said, well, they're not. We're on track for no one to do anything. So we said, well, let's start the Digital Freedom Project. Now, what happened in the 1990s is that the High Court of Australia established that there is an implied right to the freedom of political communication in this country. Okay, now it's not written in the Constitution, but they've accepted it now for about 3 or 4 decades.
Freedom of political communication, righter.
That's right. It's not
this
as
is
good
different
as
to free speech.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the Americans have got it a lot better than us, and that's what we want to bring in one day.
Right.
A constitutional protection for free speech. But we do have an implied freedom of political communication. Now, there's a lot of teenagers out there, Chris, maybe not a majority, but a lot of them are interested in politics. They get into that age where they're starting to think about it. Yeah. And they have a right to be informed about politics. Now, we all know social media is a massive part of our lives, whether we like it or not. And I think on balance, it's a good thing. It can be bad. And it can be bad for kids because there's baddies out there that will use the internet. Yeah. So how do we stop baddies, trying to have contact with kids? Well, I say it comes down to one thing: very high-level parental supervision. It has to be the parents, not the bureaucrats. Yes. Now, the worst part about this, if this law doesn't get overturned, Chris, is this: every school playground in Australia, the word has been going around for months on how to get around Albo's censorship.
You bet. I've had discussions with my kids, and you bet they're on it.
That's right. And a lot of kids are very tech savvy. Okay, you only need 1 or 2 in each playground. The word gets around. I'll just do this, this, and this, and they can work it out real quick. So what's going to happen is this: if this law is not overturned, we're going to officially ban social media for under 16s. Now, then what's going to happen is under 16s are still going to have a lot of social media, underground social media.
Yep.
Okay, where there's going to be a lot more baddies, and mum and dad's going to be saying, "Oh, I don't need to worry about little Johnny or Sally on the social media because Albo's looking after it for me."
Now, this is such a good point. Such a good point. The parents in this country are shocking. I was a teacher for 9 years, and some parents are absolutely fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but there's also a lot of them in this country that they don't give a toss. Oh, it's my third kid kind of attitude. So for them to be able to shift the responsibility to the government for this is even more dangerous. Whether it goes underground or not, then they're not monitoring. You're not putting key logging software onto your child's computer. You're just, oh, it's fine. This is such a valid point that's being made here.
So parents won't be supervising and kids will be on the underground internet. It's going to be another example of good intentions having perverse outcomes.
I think you might be right. And the other thing is about mental health. Annika Wells keeps talking about this is going to save the deterioration of mental health for those who are under 16. Well, I've heard from Ian Hickey, one of the most probably profound mental health experts in this country. He fears that it could work the other way. You take away something that provided communication, safe communication with their friends. You take that away like a teddy bear, and all of a sudden they feel fragile, they feel insecure, and that can create anxieties and worse mental health outcomes.
I think that they've already found a solution around it, to be honest. But, I mean, it is a valid point.
John?
Well, look, I'm not going to disclose who sent me this message, but a reasonably high-profile businessman sent me a message last night, and I'm going to read it out. Right. He said, "Are you also highlighting the impact on children with special needs who use social media to meet and hang out with similar kids and other friends?"
I'm sure this is just the way that they do it. They'll get into like a voiced video chat room with each other, and they'll just have like the most fun and connect with each other. And I can imagine it. And to take that, like, these people aren't going to be that tech savvy, right? They're not going to be like following. They're not going to have friends with with those two kids from the playground. Like, they're not going to interact with them. So finding ways around it for that community is going to be a lot harder.
My son is in this situation. Without social media, his world wouldn't extend outside our home. With social media, he has built a network of children and adults all over the world in a similar condition to
That's
him.
me, not
Now,
you.
that's a very good example. There's social media is by and large a very good thing. That's why it's so popular. And we're going now. The other aspect of this, Chris, is that it's going to be what I very much fear. It's going to be the beginning of the government trying to censor the internet. So they're going to start off with kids. A lot of people who don't think about it much say, oh, well, that's a good idea. Okay, so then we've got the government apparatus to be able to say, no, kids can't be on there. Well, then they're going to say, oh, well, in 3 years' time, they'll say, well, climate change is so important, you're not allowed to debate climate change on social media. That's the capacity that we're given. Then they'll say, hate speech and
I mean, this might be a little bit of a stretch, I think. Like, they've introduced anti-Semitism laws, but yeah, to criticize an idea, I think like that's way forward in the future. I think, yeah, I think it might be a little bit of a reach.
blah, 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 blah. No, let's make the internet free. Let's keep the internet free. The internet is the greatest invention that mankind's ever come up with. It's a force for good by and large, and we need to get the government to keep their nose out of it.
Okay, I want to play something that Annika Wells said about this move into the High Court by your group, and I want to ask you a question based on it. Here is Annika Wells.
Despite the fact that we are receiving threats and legal challenges by people with ulterior motives, the Albanese government remains steadfastly on the side of parents and not of platforms. On behalf of Australian parents, we stand firm.
Oh, it's just so painful to hear that kind of nonsense. Like, ulterior motives, like, John Ruddick is not for the platforms, you moron. He's actually for the kids and for free speech. Like, it's just, oh man, like, these people just need to be refuted.
She also said there's an ulterior motive behind this. Why? What's the ulterior motive you've got, John?
Well, she sounds rattled to me. Now, okay, we're the libertarians.
And this is the thing, like, we notice it, don't we? Like, I said this about the Australian Federal Police guy who gave the press conference about, oh, we're looking at you online and what you're saying. He was so nervous. Like, you could just hear it in his voice. He was just so worried that he might say it wrong. He's the public-facing figure for it. He's not the one that actually wants to implement it. He's the one that's going to cop the backlash.
Libertarian Party. Libertarians all around the world are free speech absolutists.
Yeah.
We in every election we campaign on free speech. Our little party believes there should be a constitutional amendment like the Americans to protect free speech.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the hell the ulterior motive is.
Yeah.
She's just trying to make us sound like baddies. When we just this is what we do. We're in politics because one of the key things we want to fight for is hardcore free speech.
Yeah, exactly.
So my question would be, what does he consider hardcore free speech? So my understanding of it would be that as long as we're not inciting violence, we're not, using our platform to tell people to hurt another person, we're not giving away, people's personal information, all of these sorts of, basic reasonable things. I think that you should be able to say whatever you want. If you want to say awful things, I think that there should be a platform for you to go, because I'm sure that there's people with like-minded ideas, and I think that, like I've said this before, in a free market of ideas, the best ones will always win. And, like racism and white supremacy and all of these things, like, it's a very loud minority that always makes these arguments. And I think that You need to let them have their voice and let the entire community squash them with criticism. I think that's the best way, is you silence them with criticism rather than not letting them have a voice, because I've touched on this before, and Nick Fuentes touches on this a lot, where you're gonna get people that, if you silence them and they don't have a voice and they can't have a community, even if it's awful things that they want to do, it's going to make them do them more. It's not going to stop them from doing it, and it's not going to stop other people from doing it. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue on.
What's the timing of this?
Okay, well, we've filed the writ yesterday with the High Court. We're waiting to hear back today or tomorrow. There's going to be like an initial hearing. And at the initial hearing, our lawyers are going to be there, and the Attorney General's lawyers are going to be there, and probably lawyers from the E-Safety Commissioner. And we're going to argue for an injunction, which means that the law will not take effect until the High Court in full has made a decision about whether this law is constitutional or not constitutional, and that will be about March next year. But if we get the injunction, it means that we've got at least a reprieve for a few months.
All right. The other string to your bow is that you are a business person. The inflation dragon is breathing fire, we discovered yesterday, John. And surprise, surprise, off the back of a 37% increase in power prices.
Yeah.
Well,
this is where all the bad policies of the government converge. You know, we've got all the global warming nonsense, all the hocus pocus of giving us high electricity prices, and then on top of that, it's meeting all this incredible inflation that we're all suffering from. Now, the Western world did conquer inflation in the 1980s, thanks to Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher. And we haven't, and it was a big deal in the 1970s. Inflation, people were freaked out, but we had to take hard action, tough love in the 1980s. And Bob Hawke did similar things here. And we haven't had to worry about inflation, Chris, for about 40 years. And then a stupid little thing comes along called COVID mania. And so Scott Morrison and everyone says, cheered on by John Howard, by the way, says, oh, stay at home for 2 years, everybody. We're going to give you free money. And everyone says, yay, thanks, ScoMo, thanks for the free.
This was also just such a bad decision by the government. Just so bad. They let everyone take 10 grand super. And then what else did they do? Like the job keeper. I don't know how many billions of dollars that was, but you're basically just getting paid to stay at home for a virus that was no worse than the yearly flu.
Free money. And all the hard-headed, intelligent economists out there were just out there scratching their head saying, oh, well, we're going to have inflation here. We're going to have inflation. Here we are. So we've got inflation from all the excessive spending, and we've got inflation because they keep jacking up our electricity prices over the hocus pocus that is climate change. Yeah. Because at the foundation of every industry, whether you're a hairdresser, whether you're mining, whether you're a furniture manufacturer, whether you're a radio station, the bottom line is we all need electricity, and Australia should be having super duper cheap electricity, but we've decided to voluntarily give us very, very high electricity prices. This is why I still think the Liberals can win the next federal election.
I don't think that voting the Liberals in, and we're getting away from the social media ban here. I think a little bit we're sort of slagging Labor off, and it's true. Like, Labor gets in and we go into debt, or inflation's just super high, and then the Liberals get in and fix it, and then Labor gets back in and fucks it up again. Like, it's been a cycle like as long as I've been alive, really. So I think we'll leave the interview there. But I've been seeing this John Ruddick guy just through my TikTok, just talking some real truths, just really, really based. If his actions seem that he's trying to do the best for Australians, and this is the problem. And this is, I got the hat, make Australia great again. We need to put Australians first. It's just as simple as that. And people like John Ruddick and there's other people that are doing this. The best thing that everyone can do is get online and try and hit the like button and support like small people that are trying to tell the truth, and politicians that are trying to tell the truth. Stop just watching your NRL and spinning on the slot machines. Like, come on, let's all get behind this movement, and let's really make a big change to Australia, because we can do it. But some laws need to be changed. Yeah, So anyway, guys, if you like the videos, give a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.